Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'll call the regular meeting of the Menifee City Council to order. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Yes, sir. Councilmember August. Councilmember Furman.
Here.
Councilmember Denver.
Here.
Deputy Mayor Edgerton.
Here.
And Mayor Mann.
Here.
Thank you.
And who do we have for the invocation?
Sir, Pastor Teo. Pastor, very good. Please come straight on up to the podium there. Thank you so much.
Let us pray. Loving and gracious God, we come before you tonight to give you honor and praise. You are the source of all that is good. You are the source of all our blessings. We thank you for this opportunity to come and gather together this day. We ask for your hand blessing on this council meeting. We ask that you would guide and direct our meeting so that it is full of wisdom, productivity, and respect to one another. I am asking that you would graciously grant us humility to see the true needs of our people. Grant us a thirst for justice and righteousness, and personal peace in our lives, and joy in our task. We pray for the agenda set before us today. Give us the assurance of what would benefit those who live and work in and around our beloved city of Menifee. This we pray in your most blessed name. Amen.
Thank you very much, sir. Councilmember Furman, would you please lead us in the flag salute?
Everybody give the proper salute and follow after me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, sir. And Ms. Biggs, do we have a report from closed session?
Yes, we do. The council met in closed session pursuant to the agenda with regard to the employment evaluation for the position of city manager. The closed session was not completed and was recessed at 6:57 p.m. and we will adjourn back to closed session at the end of the meeting this evening.
Thank you, Ms. Biggs. We have a very special presentation to make this evening. If the council would please convene up front. Right here. Before I call our honored guest up tonight, I'd like to share a couple things. Can everybody hear me? Am I holding this? We have a very special guest in the audience tonight, Sergeant William Bill Becker, who lives in the Oasis and is a member of the Oasis Veterans Club. But recently, Bill was awarded a very high honor from a foreign government, and you may have read about it in the newspaper, in the press enterprise. How many of you read the article about Sergeant Becker being awarded the Legion of Honor? Fantastic. Well, this is an award that was originally intended to recognize military service and honorees in France, and it was originally developed and brought online by Napoleon Bonaparte, believe it or not, back in May of 1802, and it has progressed from there to our heroes and our servicemen and women in World War II for service behind enemy lines and for service in France on 4 major campaigns. Give you an idea here. Foreign nationals who have served France or the ideals that it upholds may receive a distinction for the Legion of Honor. And there's 5 levels of the Legion of Honor, of which Sergeant Becker was awarded the Knight level of the Legion of Honor. U.S. veterans who risked their lives during World War II to fight on French territory qualified to be decorated as Knights of the Legion of Honor. Veterans must have fought in one of the main campaigns of the liberation of France, whether it was Normandy, the Provence, or northern France, or other secret operations, which we call Black Ops today. Several other prominent Americans have been awarded this, just to name a few: Miles Davis, Walt Disney, Dwight Eisenhower, Jerry Lewis, Julia Child, and the list goes on. But our very own Bill Becker, who lives in Menifee, is a recent recipient of this high honor. And I almost feel foolish standing up here and presenting this proclamation to him, but we're going to do that here in just a moment. A little bit about Sergeant Becker. He's from the Bronx. I won't tell you when you were born because it doesn't matter. You're still here, right? Still contributing to the tax base, I'm assuming. Right. Yeah. Bill and his crew served in England, where they were assigned to the 801st 492nd Bombardment Group, codenamed the Carpetbaggers. I don't know if any of you have ever heard about the Carpetbaggers, but this group was the air arm of the OSS. Now, the OSS, if you don't know your history, is the precursor to the Central Intelligence Agency today. So Bill is one of our original spies. Or as my brother and sister who work at the National Security Agency like to say, they're a spook. Because the OSS operations were top secret, few Americans even now are aware of what they accomplished under highly adverse conditions. Bill was in the 8th Air Force and in the European Theater of Operations for 6 months. He flew 7 combat missions and was awarded the Air Medal. And the Carpetbaggers were ultimately awarded the French Croix de Guerre. Croix de Guerre. I didn't take French in high school. In 1987, but there are several other decorations that Mr. Sergeant Becker and the squadron received, and they're really very, very numerous. But that's not why we're honoring him tonight. Bill, if you would please join us up front. Come right in. If we could make a spot for him right between you, Wally, and John, right here, sir. Now, there's a couple of vets up here now, and including Mr. Edgerton, who did some, let's say, he did some operations for the government in Eastern Europe back in the day, so we can't really talk about those. And I'm sure it wasn't OSS, but I'm sure that Bill can't talk, still to this day, probably can't talk about all the stuff that you did. To forever. So let me go ahead and read the proclamation. It's exciting. I'm going to read the whole thing tonight because it's very important. The City of Menifee Proclamation, whereas Sergeant William Becker was part of the Army Air Force during World War II and was assigned to the 801st 492nd Bombardment Group that went by the code name Carpetbaggers. And this group, the air arm to the OSS, the precursor to the CIA, flew covert missions to the French, Norwegian, and Danish underground, dropping spies and supplies at night with only the moonlit sky to guide the B-24 bombers to their targets, and probably some other aircraft that we can't talk about. Due to the top secret nature of the missions, few Americans were even aware of the accomplishment under highly adverse conditions. Sergeant Becker was in the 8th Air Force and European Theater of Operations for 6 months, flew 7 combat missions, and was awarded the Air Medal. And the Carpetbaggers were awarded the French Croix de Guerre, 1987, along with many other awards. Sergeant Becker has been appointed a Chevalier of the Legion of Honor at a ceremony honoring him on September 26, 2013. This award is given by the French government by decree of the President for his efforts in helping liberate France during World War II. William Bill Becker is a resident of Menifee, actively involved in the Oasis Veterans Club, and the council wishes to congratulate him on receiving this very high honor. Now, therefore, the City Council of the City of Menifee proclaims October 2nd, 2013 as Sergeant William Becker Day in the City of Menifee. Congratulations, sir. That is for you, sir, and the service that you rendered to this great nation. The floor is yours.
Well, what have I got? What have I got to say? I really appreciate the honor that you're bestowing upon me tonight, and it took over 70 some odd years to get this honor. I never thought that we would ever get it, but we did. And if you want to know any kind of a story, a little story of what happened, maybe one mission, that's okay? Flying into Norway one evening, we were looking for a drop zone to drop agents and supplies to the Norwegian resistance. We got into a fjord. The fjord, started to fly in the fjord. We got down so low we couldn't come out. We kept flying around and around and around, trying to get above the fjord. The wingtips were about 12 inches from the walls of the fjord. We finally made it. We took we burned up a lot of fuel, and we were supposed to go back to England after this. We took a vote. We had 10 men on the crew. Should we go back to England and take a shot at it, or maybe go down in the North Sea, or go to Sweden? We all said, let's go home. But we didn't make it to our base. We made it to Glasgow, and that's where we landed. And that mission was one of the most hairiest. But going in, there were too many ships down in the North Sea that actually, they were sending up a plane. I have pictures of holes in my plane that that we got shot up. But thank God we made it. That was one thing. So I just wanted to make
Well, a true American hero, would you not agree? And it's one of the reasons why every day the World War II generation that's with us, every day is Veterans Day, and we're here to honor you in the city of Menifee today, sir. Thank you very, very much for everything that you've done for us.
I just want to say, this is the Legion of Honor. That medal. Nice. And so, if you want to take a good look at it, I'll stick around and you can look at it.
Thank you, Bill, very much. If my grandfather had not survived the 2 amphibious landings in the Pacific, I would not be here today. So, thank you again, sir. Mr. August, you have the floor.
I just wanted to say to Bob, and when you took your medal and you stuck it out like that, reminded me of a cute story, and I was thinking, well, gee, if Bob was a doctor or dentist, he probably wouldn't know what that was. I remember in the military when the doctors and dentists got together with the news agencies, and they had all these medals on, and they asked the doctors and the dentists, well, what's this one for? And they looked at each other and they said, I don't know, they never told us. So anyway, that's a cute story.
Mr. Edgerton?
Yeah, speaking of the OSS, which is history for me, but women, you think of them being at home or riveters in World War II, but we had women in the OSS, and we had some of them who were pilots, and they ferried aircraft across the Atlantic, and that was very tough work for them. And I had the privilege, even when I was over there in the 60s, right after the Berlin Wall, went up and chatting with a few people who had those experiences. It was
say that we keep saying OSS, but a lot of people don't know what it means. Office of Strategic Services.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Means honorable, it means honorable work.
And our boss was Wild Bill Donovan.
I did remember that. Very good. All right. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, council members. On to our next presentation. We have, do we have a report from the Menifee Valley Chamber of Commerce on their quarterly update?
Yes.
Mr. Amatuli. Director.
Yes. Good evening. This is the latest quarter, July through September. There's going to be a directory and community guide is underway. It will include the chamber members plus non-chamber members that have a business license with the city. Approximately about 5,000 copies will be printed, and the directory is expected to be completed for distribution in November. Also, there's a design and layout started for the new City of Menifee map with the advertising of local businesses again. And another 5,000 copies will be printed, and that's distribution for January. What else have we had done? We've had the Small Business Development Center workshops in connection with the City Business Improvement Program held at Provident Bank. There was 2 workshops in this last quarter. One was for Open for Business that had 18 attendees, and Marketing for Small Businesses also had 18 attendees. Also, the small SBDC one-on-one counseling, which with local business owners, were held at the chamber offices, and there was 25 of them done in the first quarter. The Service Corps of Retired Executives, SCORE, held their San Jacinto College Menifee campus. There was 3 held in the past quarter. First one was done on basic QuickBooks, 23 attendees. The second was on basic social media skills. They had 24 attendees. And then the third session was a no-cost marketing. Also in this past quarter, we had groundbreaking or ribbon cuttings or grand openings. There was 11 held in this past quarter. The 4 probably the most prominent ones was, of course, the Newport Road widening, Caldwell Banker, Temecula Valley Carnology, and the Premier Laser and Day Center, or Day Spa, excuse me. Also, the city birthday bash, though, we're expecting 100 vendors at the bash this Saturday. And also, the last thing that's going to happen this quarter is that on October 1st, a couple days ago, the chamber moved its residence from next door to 2 buildings down at the LaRue Escrow building. We're Suite 102. Dorothy and her staff would love anybody, public, city officials, to come by and visit. Something special about that, they have an upstairs workshop area where it fits about 74 people. And that's also there to be used by the chamber or by anybody that needs some room. They can just talk to Dorothy and get questions there. And that takes care of the first quarter.
Thank you, Tony. Are there any questions from council of Mr. Amatuli? Excellent. Well, we look forward to your next report, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you kindly. On to approval of the meeting minutes. I'll seek a motion for, are there any changes to the minutes of September 18th, 2013?
So moved.
Second.
Are any objections? So ordered. Are there any agenda modifications for this evening?
No, sir.
Any objections? The agenda is approved. On to public comment. We'll have our first public commenter, please, Madam Clerk.
Peter Thorwath. Oh, sorry. Peter, wait 1 second. I got out of order. I forgot Chief Rodriguez.
Fill the boot.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, staff, members of the audience. Thank you for not putting me right after the sergeant's presentation. That would be a hard act to follow. Quick announcement, Fill the Boot is back upon us. It's been a year, believe it or not. Great cause for MDA. We'll be out here at Newport and Hahn Friday and Saturday between 9 o'clock or 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. I think, as you know, Menifee has been the top collector 2 years running now. even though times have been rough, speaks volumes for our community here. So hopefully we'll have another great year for MDA. And second, starting Monday the 6th through October the 12th, it's Fire Prevention Week, National Fire Prevention Week. Prevent Kitchen Fires is the theme for this year. There'll be plenty of handouts at the fire stations for anybody to come by, have any questions. I'll probably leave some here on the counter Monday morning for anyone to take home.
Thank you.
So that's it. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Chief Rodriguez. Appreciate that. Let's rise up, Menifee, and see if we can't be the 3 years in a row as a top donor. Madam Speaker, or Madam Clerk, next speaker.
Mr. Thorwarth, and sorry about that, Peter.
Mayor and Council, I'm going to wear two hats tonight. First, wearing my Arts Council Menifee, I'd like to invite you and everyone here tonight to visit our booth this Saturday at the Birthday Bash. Among other things, we are raffling off a beautiful photograph mounted on metal. It's really striking, by local photographer Walter Santos. We'll have other things and information there at our booth at the Menifee's Birthday Bash. Next Sunday, the 13th, Arts Council is having a family fun art fair. There's some flyers you can pick up on the counter or on the way out. It's free. All ages are welcome, but this time we're having special activities for kids and families in particular. Among other things, we're going to have a professional cartoonist. We're going to have young musicians from the Inland Valley Symphony Youth Orchestra. Linda Denver will be giving instructions about theater makeup and a lot more. So we invite everyone to come up to that. That's going to be Sunday the 13th from 1 to 3 in the afternoon. The place this time is going to be at the clubhouse at Heritage Lake. So in the Heritage Lake community, a beautiful clubhouse, very nice facilities. We encourage you to come by, take part, bring the kids, or come on your own. Taking off my Art Council hat, I'm going to shift gears. Briefly, I know the city pays a lot of money for police services, and I respect them, and I'm sure they do many things well. But I'm asking city and council to request more presence on the roads and more enforcement. People are making dangerous U-turns on Antelope Road in particular every day of the year, and that means south of Newport, they're making U-turns, and north of Newport, they're making U-turns right in the middle of the road. It goes on every single day of the year, and it's just bound to lead to an accident. They're doing it to avoid waiting in the line and waiting for the light to change, just like the rest of us have to do. So I think it's established, my opinion is it's established a sense of laissez-faire, and that drivers can do whatever they want to, and that creates a dangerous attitude. So it'd be nice to see some enforcement of that. And I'd also like to ask the police to set an example by using their turn signals. It's easy to do, but frankly, that also could save people's lives. It's remarkable how often I see even the police not using turn signals. So I encourage them and everyone to do that. Thanks for your time.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Don Williamson.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor Mann and Honorable Council members and members of the Menifee staff. My name is Don Williamson, and I came to introduce myself. I'm the new principal of Paloma Valley High School, and I wanted to come and let you know that we have a vested interest in Menifee, and anything we can do to support you, to support the community, and be a part of the community, we'd like to do. If you've got events where you need volunteers, we've got the Interact Club, we've got Key Club, we've got lots of kids that need community service hours, and I'd love to have you guys make use of our kids. We've got some great kids, and it's a great school, and I've been there for a month now, and I'm excited for the future, and I'm excited for some of the plans that we've got. If you have anything that you want to contact me about, please just call the school, and also let you know that our football team is 5-0, and we are on a bye week this week, but one of our big games is coming up. The Menifee Bowl Championship is coming up October 25th. I know we're going to win that because it is my birthday, But if anybody here would like to come, you would be honored to be my guest, and I would get you in the game so you could watch it. So I would appreciate it if you want to come, let me know, and I'll make sure that you get a spot up front. So thank you very much.
Mr. Denver,
Who are you playing on your birthday?
Heritage High.
We're playing Heritage High School.
And who won last time?
You got to remember, I was at Heritage High School for the last 4 years.
I see. All right.
So
Just checking.
I've won the last couple.
So where's the game? Is it at Paloma?
It's going to
or
be at
Heritage?
Paloma.
Okay, excellent.
Yes.
Well, you changed colors well,
Yeah.
and we welcome you on campus to Paloma Valley High School.
right.
Thank you very much. We look forward to good things.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. August.
Excuse, yes, Mr. Williamson. I just, I wanted to say that you're probably not familiar, but the city's embarked upon a journey. A senior formed an ad hoc committee, and we're working on a Menifee Senior Citizens Advisory Committee. And a couple of meetings, they did bring up students, and so I would think in the future, Ms. Sanchez or somebody from the committee or somebody in the city might be getting together with you and asking for maybe some student support to help the seniors in that community to, with their needs, and maybe get a little bit more familiar with the seriousness of the senior issues in our city. So you'll probably be hearing from us.
Good. I hope so.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next speaker, please.
Richard Biber.
Good evening, Mayor Mann, Honorable Council, and audience. My name is Rich Biber. I do community relations for the two hospitals that physicians have purchased over the last 3 years ago. Matter of fact, on the 13th, they're celebrating their third anniversary. Two things I wanted to come here to talk to you about. One is your planning department. I want to say kudos to your planning department, because I was responsible for doing the permitting for two health fairs that we're having, and they made it really, really nice for me. I appreciate it. It's not easy when you don't know what you're doing. So I really want to say thank you to Lisa Morton and Ryan Fowler, who really did a great job, and I appreciate it very much. Also, Brian Ullman in the Menifee Matters, we got some advertising in there for our health fair, and we're really, really pleased with that, and we want to thank him for the support that he gave us. The other thing is, we have actually two health fairs coming up on the Menifee Valley Medical Center campus. One is going to be put on by Hammett Community Medical Group, Menifee Community Medical Group, and it's a senior health fair, strictly for seniors, free flu shots, and cholesterol draws, and a lot of other information. Matter of fact, I think we've got 5 health plans there to give information on Medicare. They're not selling anything, but they're giving them information on Medicare signups and things like that. The second one is our own health fair. We do 2 a year at Menifee, and that's coming up on November 2nd. I have flyers on that also. And at this one, we're going to be doing carotid testing, which is very, very necessary for seniors especially. We're going to be cholesterol draws. We've got blood pressure, sugar, all the testing that you can possibly do. And I think we're up to about 17 physicians who are going to be there to answer any questions that the community may have. We're also going to do a combination event with the Chamber of Commerce. The Menifee Chamber of Commerce is going to have a business expo that day on our campus right next to our health fair. So it's going to be a fairly big event. We're really pleased with the ability to partner up with the Chamber, and we hope you all come out. I have flyers out on the desk out there, and who do I give these to up here?
Over here.
I'll give it to Kathy. So kudos to what you're doing here. I really appreciate the support of the staff on my efforts that I had to do, because I really didn't know what I was doing. So
Thank you,
thank you
Richard.
very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you, sir. Next speaker, please.
Roger Schmid.
I want to thank you all for listening to me. I have about 3 points I want to make, but first of all, I cannot miss an opportunity to thank the likes of this gentleman right here, Sergeant, and all the folks like him that didn't come back, and then ones that came back all beat up. You went to a war that we were beaten in the beginning. You pulled yourselves up by the bootstraps, and we kicked butt on both fronts. Congratulations, and I'm happy to meet you. Thank you. I have a comment to make about CCNRs being broken in my community. I belong to Sun City. It's been a very quiet community. I've been living there almost 10 years now. The rules are simple, and we've had very good luck in these rules being accepted and supported. Lately, a family moved in, or a business moved in. They're carpet cleaners. I think Ms. Donna Burke is in charge of this. She's the young lady that's the code enforcement, and I understand she's been catching a lot of flack from this guy. I've witnessed it. I'm 2 doors down from them, and they have a business that they're delivering supplies to their garage. That when they first moved in, they had trailers and trucks full of equipment, chemicals for carpet cleaning. I'm sure some of it's carcinogenic, some is hazardous waste. They come in, and a sneaky thief of the night, and they do their loading and unloading at night, early in the morning. They deny that they have a business there, but I witnessed it. The neighbors have witnessed it, and they're breaking the rules. Now, my past is being a manager of an oil company for 30 years. And for 35 years, I've been in charge of industrial equipment, machinery, and oil operations. I've always had a lot of people under me, and I always said the rules are simple. You put them out there. They're not there to deceive you, to trick you, to catch you off anything. They're simple to abide by. If you break the rules, you're putting me in a position to do something, to say something. And that's what this guy's doing. He's putting Donna under hard work to try to figure this out and how to beat it. She's trying to catch him at what he's doing with his chemicals. That's not the point. They have an operating business. The rules number 7 in our CCNR says no business there. They have an operating business. The paychecks go out from there. They come in and get paid there. They work from there. They load up, unload there. It's happening. And it don't belong there in my community. And if Donna needs support, and I'm there to help her. Okay? Another thing. I have a truck that I've had passed numerous times at the smog. It's clean air. What made me mad, I went up to Panda Bread, or whatever you call it, Panera Bread, and right there in front of me was this, the parking was terrible. Clean air car only. Clean air. I said, what the heck is this? My car passed smog. Every time I go in there, it's a clean air. Like I told you, I was an engineer and manager in an industrial business. I know what coal burning is because I started out in the coal business. It's clean. I was born in 41. When I was born in the city of St. Louis, you couldn't see your street across the way there because it was so bad. We've cleaned it up. 75% of electricity is produced by coal that they plug the Prius and these other hybrids in with, coal burning boilers that make the electricity that goes into them. They have batteries that cost an additional $7,000 to $8,000 to put in there. To me, that's hazardous material. What do they do with them after they...
Mr. Schmidt?
Are you telling me to be quiet?
No. I'm just letting you know that's your time.
What's your third point, briefly, quickly?
Okay. I use Bradley across Newport all the time. Every time especially going from the Arco station back across, 7 seconds to green light. I can't even get across the street and it's changing. That side is getting heavier in traffic because of all the businesses over there, the school down there. You got all the businesses over here. You only have 7 seconds going north and south across there to get across, and it's dangerous.
Light timing at Bradley and Newport.
That's right.
Okay, we'll look
and
into
I resent the no parking for my truck there, and I understand handicap.
I understand. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for your time.
And again, sir?
Just briefly.
You talking to me?
Well, we're going to get you some more feedback, hopefully. Well, the council can't comment on an active code enforcement issue.
Okay,
There is an active code.
The city manager
Hang
is
on.
in charge of
Hang
that,
on.
right?
Hang on.
Okay.
This is an active code enforcement issue on your street. And to the extent that we're working with the association and code enforcement, your code enforcement and ours, is there anything else that we can share publicly with what's going on right now? Or do we have to wait until action's taken?
I'd prefer to wait till the action's taken. However, I am meeting with the owner tomorrow.
I know that.
Very good.
Yeah.
Excellent.
But the rules are not made to be broken.
Yep. Thank you. Madam Clerk, do we have any more public commenters tonight?
Not on this item, sir.
Okay, very good. Thank you kindly. On to council member updates and comments. Council? Who's up?
I'm good.
Mr. Edgerton?
Well, I just comment again. I've got some photographs in front of me here. I think the city manager's probably seen them. They're not dramatic. They're just bus benches that have been put in a number of bus stops around the city. They're not fancy like you might find in a large city, and we don't have the kiosks and the overhead, but it is an improvement, and that's moving in the right direction. And I'm pleased that the RTA is doing that, and I'm pleased that it's happening in Menifee, and particularly in areas where there's heavy bus traffic around in Greg August area over there in the 1st District, and we put some stops in there that hadn't been there before and made it a lot more convenient. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Any other council members? No, would you like to? Okay, Mr. Denver.
Last weekend, we had the Mayor's Ball. Rotary Club put it on at the Marion Ashley Center. What a wonderful event. Dancing, carrying on, gambling. It was a marvelous time. And the whole council was there, and and they made a lot of money, too. So thank you and congratulations.
Excellent, thank you. I have just a couple of updates. The Paris Valley line. I serve on the Riverside County Transportation Commission. The last impediment has been removed for the Paris Valley line, which is the Metrolink line from Riverside to the reclamation plant down here where 74 and 215 meet. That's where the Paris Valley line is going to end. The Federal Transportation Administration has authorized the remaining funding for that. That was the last piece of the puzzle. All legal challenges are over. All the environmentals are done. Work has been completely cleared, and that'll be another way for even our residents to get into Riverside if need be by taking the Metrolink station. Just a quick report. Last meeting I mentioned that I was attending the League of California Cities annual convention with the city manager, which we did. There were a lot of good, in accordance with Assembly Bill 1234, I'm required to report to the public that I attended that. And one of the events that happened there, I did get, so that the council knows, I was elected by the Riverside County Division of the League of California Cities to the Executive Committee for the County Division. So thank you very much for that nomination, and I'll be serving on that for the next year. The final thing I want to share is I have a friend who lives in the Sun City neighborhood of Menifee here. I don't like to plug books normally, but hey, it's a veteran. And this is a book that he wrote. This is memoirs from his 30 combat missions in a B-24 as a B-24 crew member. He was a engineer, survived, and is here with us today, much in the same way that Bill is here. And his name is Richard Hartung. I don't know if you know who. He's not here in the chamber tonight. It's hard for him to get around, but it's an interesting read because it's all in big print. You could probably even see it from back there. It's for seniors. It's for seniors, yes. And it's $7. You can only get it on Amazon.com. But I told him that I would mention it because he says that he's got a message in here, which he does, and he chronicles. He's got a personal diary entry in here for every bombing mission that he went on, including the bombing mission from August 6th of 1945, which was the Hiroshima bomb. He was not on the aircraft for that, but he was in the air on another bombing mission. His target was clouded over, and he saw the bomb drop from the air, which provided a unique perspective, and he's got a journal entry in there for that day. You know, it talks about love, it talks about being a youth, it talks about youth being lost, and all those sorts of things. So, you know what, if you can think about it, go on Amazon.com. The book is called The Perfect Lady. The Imperfect Lady, sorry. They made a couple movies about it. Some of you may remember. The Imperfect Lady. And Richard Hartung, H-A-R-T-U-N, is his name. another veteran, another Sun City resident who is still with us and is another American hero. So if you have an inclination, pick it up. It's a good read. Thank you very kindly. On to the consent calendar. I hope I didn't violate any ethics rules by mentioning that from a standpoint there, City Attorney.
Only if you get a percentage of the
I
day.
get nothing. In fact, I bought it myself.
How much you making?
I didn't. It's $7.39 plus shipping. Amazon.com. On to the consent calendar. Are there any changes to the consent calendar? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
So moved. Second?
Second. Roll call vote, please.
Councilmember August. Councilmember Furman. Councilmember Denver. Deputy Mayor Edgerton. Mayor Mann.
Aye.
Thank you.
We have no public hearings this evening. On to the discussion items. 12.1, accept sponsorships for the city's birthday party and increased budget. Mr. Johnson.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. The item before you is to accept monetary sponsorships totaling $11,500 to the city's birthday. As you know, we had a significant cut to our budget in the last budget cycle, and we had actually requested if there were folks in the community who'd like to sponsor our city birthday event that they should come forward, and they did. We had $7,500 from Sutter Midland, $2,500 from Waste Management, $1,000 from Menifee Plumbing, and $500 from MediaCom for $11,500, which covers about half the cost of the event itself, which is a really good thing for us. We do need to do a budget adjustment. If you have any questions about that, you can Terry can chime in on that. But that's really, we need to formally accept the sponsorships for the event.
I move we accept.
Mary, may I have a second?
Second.
And all those in favor?
Aye.
Or do we need a roll call since it's money?
Yes, sir.
Roll call vote, please.
Councilmember August. Councilmember Furman.
Aye.
Councilmember Denver. Deputy Mayor Edgerton. And Mayor Mann.
Aye. Agenda item 12.2, approve Second Amendment to agreement with T&B Planning for continued work on Audie Murphy Project EIR. City Attorney?
Yes, just a reminder, Mr. Furman, you should recuse yourself on this. This is the Audie Murphy Ranch project.
You leave the room or not vote?
Leave the room. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We'll wait just a moment briefly. Is there a staff report, sir?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, members of council, we do have a brief staff report. Charles Leclerc, our interim community development director, will take that for you.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. The item before you tonight is a request to amend a second amendment to T&B Planning's professional services agreement to allow for the addendum to an environmental impact report, which is necessary for amendment number 5 to the Audie Murphy Ranch specific plan. The professional services agreement that's being amended was originally approved in May of 2012 and amended for the first time in 2013. The developer is aware of the requested change in the contract and has agreed to that change. The original budget did not anticipate the number of reviews and the number of comments that have been provided to the consulting firm leading to the addendum. The contract is proposed to be amended by $3,600 for the work that is needed and yet not yet approved or created by the T&B planning staff. As I mentioned a moment ago, costs are going to be covered by deposits from the developer. As noted within this matrix, the change is for $3,600. That does put it over the $25,000 limit that the city manager is allowed to approve. That's why it's being presented to you tonight. And with that, the staff is, the amendment to the T&B planning service agreement will allow for the addendum to the environmental impact report to be finished, which would then allow the amendment to the specific plan to move forward to public hearings. With that, staff recommends that you authorize the amendment number 2 to the contract.
Thank you, Mr. Leclerc. Are there any questions of staff? Mr. Edgerton?
How, when the public hears this, how do we know that we have an agreement here for a private contractor? What's the process? What had been the bid process? Has that already been accomplished? Now we're simply making an amendment, or what?
Correct. The bid process would have occurred in order to have created the original contract in May of 2012.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Edgerton. Are there any other questions? I'll entertain a motion to approve the Second Amendment.
Motion to approve. Second.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Councilmember August. Councilmember Denver. Deputy Mayor Edgerton. Mayor Mann.
Aye.
Thank you.
And if we could make sure that Councilmember Furman gets noted. Thank you, Mr. Leclerc, for your staff report. If we make sure that Councilmember Furman rejoins us here in the chamber, then we can go on to agenda item 12.3, which is to approve an amendment, number 1, to the Santa Ana Regional Water Quality Implementation Agreement.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, members of council, the item before you is an approval and of amendment to that Santa Ana Region Water Quality Implementation Agreement. Jonathan Smith, your city engineer, will have a report for you.
Good evening, Mayor, members of council. The item before you tonight is the approval of the amendment to the Santa Ana Regional Water Quality Implementation Agreement. The city of Menifee is actually part of 2 watersheds. One is the Santa Ana Regional Watershed, and the other one is the San Diego Regional Watershed. With the approval of this agreement, the city is agreeing to be regulated by one agency, which is the Santa Ana Regional Water Quality Control Board, which is currently regulating us. And that's the end of my presentation, and if you have any questions.
Well, any deregulation is good, I think, at least in my opinion. Are there any questions of council from staff? This takes us out of an old arrangement with 2 entities coming into just one now.
Correct.
Streamlines the process.
Streamlines the process.
Okay. Any questions of staff? And I'll entertain a motion to approve.
Approve. Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember August. Councilmember Furman.
I allowed to vote? Oh, okay.
Councilmember Denver. Councilmember Denver. Deputy Mayor Edgerton. Mayor Mann.
Aye.
Thank you.
On to agenda item 12.4, approve cooperative agreement by and between Riverside County and the city of Menifee and the city of Murrieta for Scott Road I-215 interchange improvements. Madam Clerk, we have a speaker on this agenda item?
Yes, sir.
I'll take that now.
Very good. Caston Klein.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, City Council. As you know, I've spoken before you previously about this interchange, and I just didn't want it to go unrecognized that we have gotten to this point, my opinion, from where I sit, rapidly since Jonathan Smith, Sean Nelson, and Rob Johnson have come to the helm. So from the development standpoint and what we're doing moving forward with this very important infrastructure, I wanted to recognize them. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your comment. Do we have any other speakers on this item?
No, sir.
Thank you very kindly. Staff report, please.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. Jonathan Smith will be providing a report to you about the cooperative agreement, which actually is a great day for us. It allows us to move forward on the Scott Road I-215 interchange.
Great, thank you, Rob. Again, this is the next step in moving along with the interchange improvements at Scott Road and 215. With the approval of this agreement, it allows the County of Riverside to act on the city's behalf to start acquiring the right-of-way that's necessary for the interchange. With the approval of this agreement, they can begin immediately and start negotiating with the property owners to gather the right-of-way. As many may know, the county has been leading the charge for the design of the project with Dockin, and they've gotten it now to this point to where they're ready to move forward and get the necessary right-of-way and take the next steps to getting this on to construction. It's anticipated that the right-of-way gathering that the county needs to do for us will take 9 to 12 months. That's the end of my presentation, and if you have any questions.
Well, I'm assuming that you're recommending approval of the agreement then.
I am ecstatic about this agreement. Yes, I am recommending approval of this and excited to move this thing to the next level.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
I'd like to question.
Okay, go ahead. Can I get a second, and then we'll open it up? Okay, very good. Mr. August, you have the floor.
Yeah, Mr. Smith, can you just update us, maybe you don't have the answer to this question, but where we are in the financing with the Scott Road interchange? And you said we could start work on it, at least with the agreements and right-of-way agreements, but do you know where we are in the financing? We have full financing for that, half financing, three-quarters, or what?
I have that information for you. This is a $52 million project. Currently, we are short by $23.4 million. The city is acting along with the county and processing a joint request of the Riverside Transportation Department request for funding for our project. And that, hopefully, we will hear back by the first of the year if we're successful in getting that funding. If not, we have other funding opportunities that we'll be seeking with the county to get full funding for the project. But with the beginning of collecting, with the completion of the design and going out and collecting the right-of-way necessary, it puts us in a much better position to receive funding.
Thank you.
Mr. Denver?
Congratulations to staff for putting this together. We've moved along on this particular project very quickly. $52 million. How much are we spending on Newport?
Newport Road, I don't have that number off the top of my head. I wish I did.
It's less than 52.
It's less than 52, that's correct. Newport is a half a bridge. This is a full bridge here, basically.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. We have a motion and a second. Roll call vote, please.
Councilmember August.
Aye.
Councilmember Furman.
Aye.
Councilmember Denver. Deputy Mayor Edgerton. And Mayor Mann.
Aye. I'd like to echo the sentiments of Councilmember Denver, and I'm sure the whole council. Well done to staff for keeping these projects moving and to find that funding. Thank you very much. The residents appreciate it. On to 12.5. Consider request to fund the Trauma Intervention Program, also known as TIP. Mr. Johnson?
This came as a request from last year's participant. They came to the podium last year and requested funding of their program for $10,000. Staff did not include that as an ongoing cost in programming, and this is a request to fulfill this current year at $10,000.
This item is currently not budgeted for in our budget.
That is correct.
Okay. Are there any additional council questions or discussion on this item? Mr. Denver?
I personally don't have any problem with this. I intend to vote yes. However, I do think that there's another process, CDBG as I remember, which we should be using for these kinds of things. And I'd like to have, if this passes, or if it doesn't pass, that we recommend to these folks and to any other that we that in the future we're going to do this through CDBG funds. And I understand from talking to them and all that we really didn't inform them about the CDBG process and the mechanism, and so this is something that to some degree they just wandered into, and we didn't tell them about it. So that's my only thought is if we agree to it, which I do, we should not, in the future, we should put it through the things that we would do with other people, which is CDBG.
I'm going to take Mr. Edgerton and then Mr. Johnson.
I agree with Councilman Denver, but I'd like a little clarification on that from the city manager. When we say, as Councilman Denver suggested, and I happen to be in agreement with him, that somebody goes and applies through the CBDG funds, they're looking for grant money. This particular request comes out of our general fund, does it not?
Yes.
So the request tonight is they want $10,000 from our taxpayers directly, as opposed to a grant fund. To me, that's that's apples and oranges. And while I would agree with Councilman Denver, I think it's a very good program. I think we should support it if we can, but not from the general taxpayers' fund.
Mr. Johnson and then Mr. August.
Thank you. Sir, I was just going to follow up on Mr. Denver's comments. There is a CDBG process. We have talked with Terry Willoughby about that. They will be updated to get that information from us, but that's an annual process that a lot of cities have that hopefully they can get plugged into, because I hear your sentiment, the difference between a general fund and a CDBG program. It makes it more palatable through the CDBG process, and we'll make sure we get that information to them so they're familiar with the cycle, which our cycle is the same as everyone else's. So,
Mr. August?
A question for staff. Not all cities participate in this program up and down the 215 and 15 highway. Is that correct? Like Paris, Temecula, and other cities?
The cities that I'm aware of, through the letter that they sent directly to me on May 9th, 2013, was the city of Lake Elsinore, Marietta, and Temecula participate with them, and we did last year.
Okay, we did last year, and I'm inclined to agree with both Mr. Denver and Mr. Edgerton on this, and I will be voting no.
Mr. Denver?
Is there any way, well, let me put it this way, the CDBG funds are not all spent. We have allocated funds to any number of organizations and groups and activities that, to my knowledge, have not already been spent. Is there any way that we could twist this around a little bit and get it out of CDBG funds?
Mr. Johnson?
Thank you. Great question. I do believe that our books are closed for the actual current year, though. We just did the consolidated annual report at the last council meeting. I will have to check with Terry to see what the legalities are on that, but we might be able to bring some information back to council. I don't know if we have the answer tonight. Terry, did you want to chime in?
I do. We have closed the applications for 2013-14. Those applications were finalized last May when you approved that plan. So they would have to go through the process, which we're opening up shortly, but that would be for next year. So they have to apply and go through the hearing.
Well, I just, if you're going to allow me to, I understand. We have a bunch of money left in there. It's my understanding that we're going to have some money left over that's not going to be used. Isn't that correct? Isn't it likely that there'll be over $10,000 left after the money's spent?
Mr. Denver, if you will, I absolutely understand your question, and I think that was not what the answer was. There is a new cycle coming up. I will get with Terry. We'll go through the process and see if we can open that caper back up and do what you suggested. We'll bring that back at the next meeting if you're okay with that. Either a determination either way. Is that fair?
Okay, Mr. Edgerton?
There is a process for the CBDG funds, and we're all aware of it. And Councilman Denver, I'll remind you that I was chairing the meeting the last time, and you asked for somebody to be able to step up. And Mr. Zimmerman, Bill Zimmerman, came before the mic and gave a very articulate presentation, I thought. And I literally jumped in and said, if you want to make that motion, I'll back it. And so we went into the CDBG funds for them. Because it was out of context of how it's generally presented, it created some heartburn for some people and some blowback for some council people. So I am concerned about going around the process in the future. I'm glad I did what I did. I made the right decision. I stand behind it. But in the future, I think it's important that we stand by the rules and regulations, that everybody get in line at the appropriate time. And that's when the decision is made, and that's the decision that holds.
Mr. Furman?
I don't know whether this may be splitting hairs, but a per capita donation, our donation of $10,000 would mean more per capita per person than, say, Temecula's. Since they got $120,000, we got $80,000. We're given 20% more than Temecula would be. I don't know if it's just splitting hairs, but it's just my thought. That's all.
Good thought. I had a couple concerns. I think it's a valuable program, but here it is, October. Both the CDBG process and our budgetary process is over for this cycle. So I'm not inclined to necessarily fund this tonight, but I'm wondering though, there's a public safety connection here that we might want to explore in the future. Since there's such a heavy, there's such a heavy Riverside County Sheriff's support of this program. If you look at the letter, there's the sheriff and the RSA and everybody supports, and I'm wondering if it would be feasible to make this part of our annual process for the public safety funds, so that when we get into the next budgetary cycle, we make a policy decision to say we believe in the trauma intervention program. There is a public safety connection. Should we budget it for it every single year outside of the CDBG process? I think it's worth exploring, at least asking that question of ourselves. Mr. Denver.
I'm not sure there's been a motion yet made. I think not.
No, there has not been one. We're talking.
Mr. Mayor, would you consider postponing this decision, tabling it until we get some information about CDBG and about what you've just mentioned now, and let's have this looked at the next meeting or whenever we have data on these other ways of funding?
Any objection to table? So ordered. On to city attorney reports.
Just a short update. You have requested that we make a filing with the FPPC and the district attorney, and I just want to let you know that we anticipate filing that complaint this week.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Johnson, city manager reports.
Thank you, sir. Members of the council, just a couple of updates. Menifee Matters, as you heard earlier, has hit the households of 33,000 Menifee residents. Pretty excited about that. The front cover, those that have received it have noticed two nice-looking boys on the front cover. I can't take credit for those, but those are the two boys of our assistant to the city clerk, Jennifer Allen. They did sign waivers. They get nothing for being on there, but they get a really nice keepsake for them, and they are residents of Menifee, so that was pretty nice to have them. I did want to share with you, obviously the city birthday is this Saturday. It is at Mount San Antonio. My son's in cross country, and he's got a Mount San Antonio College meet coming up, so I got that stuck on my head. But Mount San Jacinto, it's 4 to 9 over at the college. There's going to be many bands. There's over 100 vendors. Please come on out and celebrate. Council will be up on stage at 6 o'clock singing happy birthday and handing out cupcakes. So come on by. It's a free event for you and your family. Estimated attendance, about 20,000 people. So you'll be in good company there. I did want to share with you two other items. Julie, if you could put that up on the screen. I'm not sure if you're familiar with what we've done lately in regards to most of the construction projects that we have running through the city, but we do have a construction updates marker on our city homepage, and when you click that, you'll go to a page that you can scroll down. Of course, we've got all of our publicity and marketing information out there, but if you scroll down, you'll see what's the current project and updates. Unfortunately, we're going through a link update right now, so if we click on those links, everything will disappear here in the council chambers. But if you click on those links, you'll go directly to the project, and it will show you an overview of the project and what's going on. We also have a section on there for tweets that we tweet out from the city, which give people opportunities to understand what's going on in current traffic conditions. What we're really attempting to do is obviously come into the 21st century with our technology through our website, but also make it compatible to the CIP and the construction projects that we put together in that brochure that we mailed out to everyone. So we just wanted to make sure that everybody knew that that was live. And if there's any problems with any of the construction information, contact our city engineer, Jonathan Smith. You can all call him, and he'll have the answer to your questions. Last but not least, I wanted to give you a brief update, economic development update from ICSC with Jeff Wyman. And he's here to update you on some items that we took off in ICSC in San Diego about a week and a half ago.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. Just a quick update. The staff did go to the ICSC conference down in San Diego on September 19th and 20th. It was a day and a half conference. Staff spent a significant amount of time planning and preparing, going down and setting up our booth and preparing for the conference. It was a very successful conference. We met and talked with over 50 businesses, developers at the conference, retail businesses and developers, including national name theater and entertainment venues, retail stores, and restaurants. The conference, as I said, was very successful, and word is getting out about the opportunities of Menifee. We're actively pursuing any and all opportunities to bring to the city of Menifee. Lastly, I did want to mention too, another item that we're working on is we recognize that there is a good significant amount of quality available land in the city for development, especially commercial development. And we are working on, staff is working on a database to put together to be able to provide to brokers and developers to be able to assist them in finding and identifying the land that would best suit their needs for future development. And that is my quick update.
Thanks, Jeff. No further items.
Great report. Thank you very much. There's a lot of good things going on, especially with that website and the Menifee moving progress and communication, and continue to increase communication with the residents and the economic development piece. Thank you for going. Next time we go to San Diego, let's take a council member or two down there. So if we could budget for that out of your departmental budget next time, that'd be great. On to that concludes reports. Do we have any agenda requests from council members tonight? Mr. August.
Not necessarily a request, just a quick. I want to give a laudatory to Terry Willoughby. We were mentioned in the website, and over the past month or two, we've been working on animal services, and she has updated that website under city services. If you go down, you'll see Animal Friends of the Valley in Ramona. And she's made it easier to find in on the city's website. So I appreciate that. And also, I want to mention the fact that Mr. Edgerton and myself are hosting about 25 people tomorrow in animal rescue groups. We're going to be discussing some of the problems we're encountering with animal rescues. And most of you don't know that we are our control services, Animal Friends of the Valley, located in Wildemar, and what they do is keep the dogs for roughly a day and transport them out to San Jacinto. That's our sheltering service. Well, San Jacinto's quite a ways away, so I know all the council members would like to be there tomorrow, but we have to realize the Brown Act, and Mr. Edgerton and I are going to be talking to the groups with the city and seeing if we can just help improve the conditions for those animals in the service and see if we can cut down on that, improve on the live release rate there. So I'll keep you updated on the progress we make on that.
Hey, Mr. Edgerton.
Yes, I'd also like to thank Terry and Rob for their help, but tomorrow I'm a host for this event, and I just point out to the public, we really haven't done much in this city. We're really short on the amount of help we can give animals, but somebody has to spearhead it. Somebody has to put the people together. Somebody has to do the research. Hosting is pretty simple, but the other part is very hard, and that part has been done by Councilman Greg August. If you care about animals, I think that guy deserves a big hand. He's done a lot of work behind the scenes, so here's to you, Greg.
Mr. August.
Actually, I thank you, Mr. Edgerton, but it's really the animal rescue people that really do all the work, and all we can do is give them a direction and give them a hand, and I believe with the animal rescue people we have in the city, they will help us get it done, and we're the vehicles in between the rescue people and the city, and Rob Johnson and Terry have been just wonderful, so hopefully we can get make up some real ground in that area, and I really want to work to it. And if I'm remembered for anything in this city when I leave, that's what I'd like my legacy to be, is to help the animals out. Not that I won't do my other parts of my job, but I'm very dedicated to that, like Mr. Edgerton said.
Excellent. Thank you very much, gentlemen. And if there are no more council member comments, what we're going to do at this point is we're going to recess back into closed session to finish our agenda item from there earlier. You're welcome to stay. We'll have to re-adjourn and report out. But after we recess and we come back in and adjourn, City Attorney, you have
I just wanted to say that it's unlikely we will have any action to
Yeah,
report.
probably very unlikely that we'll have any action. So thank you for saying that. But what I want to say is when we re-adjourn, I'll ultimately adjourn the meeting this evening in honor of Sergeant Bill Becker for October 2nd, 2013. Thank you, sir. We stand recessed in closed session.